Self-help books can be so hit or miss. I've read some that people absolutely rave about and I get to the end and I'm like, that's it? That's all we had to offer? And then I've read some that nobody ever talks about and I was like, oh my God, did they write another book? Did they have more? Can I learn something else from this person? So today we are going to talk about the 20 books that I think every single person should read in 2025. Now, we're going to be breaking these books up into 3 categories. So category number 1 is getting your shit together. So all things productivity, goal setting, habits, anything in that realm is going to be in category number 1. Category number 2 is healing and building confidence. So this is going to be more like any books that really address the confidence building process or the healing process or giving you some actionable, tangible steps that can actually lead you on this journey. And category number 3 is becoming your dream self. So this is going to be a little bit more on the spiritual side of things, a little bit more, I guess you could say, more woo-woo type books, but I really do think that they are things that every single person needs to read because it is just so helpful to really open up your mindset and open yourself to this side of you and the more spiritual side of your body and really getting into your mind. Before we get into it, if you don't know me, my name is Haley and I'm your realistic and balanced bestie, helping you build a stronger brain and body. Now, I'm going to really try to speed through these as fast as possible because there are quite a lot of books and I don't want this to be an insanely long video. And I do have my notes written right here about all of the books and things, so I'm definitely going to be checking this pretty frequently. So the first book in our first category, which is getting your shit together, is Working Hard, Hardly Working by Grace Beverley. Now, I know I'm a Grace Beverley stan, so obviously I had to put this as my top one. Not that these are in any order at all, because they're absolutely not, but when I was making this list, this is one of the first ones that I wrote down because I was just like, yes, that one, love it, everybody needs to read it. And I think that Grace just does such a good job of blending productivity with compassion, I guess you could say, and just kind of learning how to be a little bit more gentle with yourself while still really, really heavily pushing towards your goals and getting a lot of shit done on a very consistent basis. It's really all about more of a balanced type of success and really hitting your goals in a way that's not going to make you feel completely burnt out, and it's not really feeding into the hustle culture type mentality, but it's still giving you actionable tips to actually get shit done in a productive way that's not going to make you hate your life. And I really liked it because it's split up a little bit between more practical strategies and more personable, relatable topics like burnout and things like that. So if you're really trying to focus on achieving all your goals while not sacrificing your well-being, this is definitely a book that you need to put on your list. Number 2 is Own It All by Andrea Isabelle Lucas, and this is really a book more about women embracing their power, I would say. So it's giving you a lot of strategies on how to achieve your goals, how to have your most successful career, and really just be your most ambitious self while still feeling very powerful and feeling very in control of this whole process. So each chapter really covers different life areas, so things like career, personal life, relationships, and things like that. And I really think this is a good book for somebody who is struggling with self-doubt or maybe even self-sabotage and just feels like they can't get in their head enough to actually start to make progress towards their goals. Number 3 is The 12-Week Year by Brian Morgan, and this is something you've probably heard of. A lot of people talk about The 12-Week Year, and that's because it really is such a good book, especially if you're somebody who is used to setting New Year's resolutions or setting year-long goals and things like that. This really helps to shift your mindset to shortening those timelines and really trying to see what's actually achievable for you in just 12 weeks instead of spreading your goals out across a year or a 5-year plan or something like that. You are really focusing on what can I actually get done? What is realistic for me to get done here? And how can I actually make a plan that's going to stick and something that I'm actually going to accomplish? I really think this book is great for anybody who struggles with procrastination or struggles with just not really knowing how to start, because the book does really give you a full breakdown on how to set up your 12-week year. And I think overall, anybody who wants to get more done in a short amount of time or just wants to maximize their productivity, this is going to be the book for you. Number 4 is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And again, this is another cult classic. I feel like everybody talks about this book, but again, that's because it's so good. There are so many actionable actionable steps in here, and it's something that I really think helps shift your whole mindset about how you look at your goals in general. The whole concept of this book is kind of explaining how your habits are the things that are going to lead you to achieving your goals or not achieving your goals, and it gives you a lot of good actual tips on how to really focus on the good habits that you want to embed and get rid of any habits that aren't leading you towards your goal. You know, I love a step-by-step format, and this book is very, very well put together in a way that really just takes you along the journey, and you can follow along with it and really feel like you have a full understanding of everything. Even though there are a lot of scientific explanations and a lot of relatable stories, it's not overwhelming, and it's done very well in a way that kind of keeps you on track and really helps to just drive home the fact that a lot of small little steps are the things that are going to get you to actually achieve your goals. I think this book is really good for anybody who wants to improve in any area of their life. So whether you have fitness goals, whether you have business goals, things that you want to get done for more productivity, this book is going to help you really focus on these small steps that you take and the daily habits that you're doing to actually make sure that you're getting to where you want to go. Book number 5 is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, and I feel like this can kind of fall into the realm of spirituality but also getting your shit together, and I put it in this category because I do feel like it's more of a realistic kind of no bullshit guide to actually getting your entire life together. It is heavily focused on manifestation, but in a more realistic way, in a way that is more similar to how I look at manifestation, as something that you do have to put the work into and something that you do have to take actionable steps to actually achieve the thing that you're trying to manifest. In general, this is just such a good book on changing your mindset and practicing gratitude in a way that's not really cheesy and not going to make you feel stupid, but also using that gratitude to actually help you achieve the life that you want to achieve. I really think this book is perfect if you feel like you're just a little bit stuck, or maybe you feel like you're self-sabotaging a little bit, or even if you're just like, I don't really know exactly what I want to do, but I know that I want to achieve something. I want to make my life better in some way. I think this book is a really great starting place because it's going to just kind of make you look at things in a different way, and it's going to hopefully shift your mindset to open up to more things. And book number 6 is Financial Feminist by Tori Dunlap. This is one of the best financial books that I have ever found. I've really been into reading finance books written by women because I just think it's a lot more not only understandable, but it's written in a way that's not intimidating, and it's not going to make you feel like you have to be a finance bro living in New York to ever be financially free and to actually ever understand this. It's actually written in a way where you're like, oh, I can do this. This is 100% doable for me. And it covers absolutely everything. So budgeting, investing, saving, all that stuff. And I think it does it in just such a good way that really helps each one of these things build on the other, and not something where it's like, oh, you have to do all these things at once in order to be successful. She really breaks it down in a way where it's like, okay, if you're starting from absolutely zero, this is where you need to start. I think this book is perfect if you are trying to have any kind of financial goal accomplished in the year 2025, whether that be a savings goal, an investing goal, or even just becoming a little bit more aware of your money, where it's going, how to manage it. This is just such a good book, and I think every single person should read it, because I think even if you already know some of the basics of finances and things like that, there are always things that you can learn more of and things that you can learn different ways to do, and I just think it is so helpful. Category number 2 is healing and building real confidence. So of course, I had to start with the confidence queen herself, which I am just obsessed with her. I love her so much. We are starting with book number 1 in this category, which is Buy Yourself the Damn Flowers by Kaur. I don't know if I'm saying that right, because she always says it with a British accent, and I'm like, what is the equivalent of an American saying that name? I just don't know. So I think that she offers a really refreshing take on the idea of self-love and building a real relationship with yourself in a way that doesn't feel cringy or feel like you're a narcissist or anything like that, because I feel like that's what a lot of people think of when they think of a self-love journey or dating yourself, and I think she does such a good job in just focusing on the aspects that really help you to just prioritize yourself and just build real confidence, real security in yourself, and just real happiness with yourself. I also like that each chapter kind of focuses on a different thing, because again, I love a step-by-step moment, and that is just what my brain craves every single time I read a book. So I really think that this book is perfect if you are in any kind of self-love journey, if you're in any way struggling with self-doubt, or even self-sabotage in any way, or you're looking at all your relationships and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Everything is going wrong. I can't figure out what my patterns are. This is a great place to start because it's going to really give you the foundations of how to actually focus on yourself and how to start prioritizing your needs over anybody else. The second book in this category is Girl, Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. And this is more of a book that just kind of tackles a lot of the lies that women believe about themselves, which is really refreshing because it's just nice to know that other people are struggling with the same things that you're struggling with. Because I think a lot of times we know in the back of our minds, like, I am not the only person thinking this, but it's just nice to hear it from an outside source and to be like, okay, I'm not alone. And I really think in general, this book is such an interesting crossover of a self-help book and an autobiography because she does give a lot of personal stories and a lot of personal moments of how she overcame certain things. And I just love that. I think it's so wonderful to really kind of combine everything together. And I just think this book is so great for anybody who just kind of feels stuck in life, or they feel like they are just struggling with a lot of insecurity, a lot of overthinking around every aspect of their life, and they just need something to kind of snap them out of it and to give them a more refreshed view on things. Book number 3 is The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown, and she is obviously very well known for everything in this category, anything around really trusting yourself, becoming secure in yourself, all of that good stuff. So I think that out of every book that she's written, this is one of the best ones to start with because it really just teaches you how to embrace your imperfections. And I think that is just one of the most basic keys to having the life that you want and becoming the person that you want to be, because you really have to be willing to open up to that vulnerable side of yourself and open up to giving yourself compassion and giving yourself the grace that you need to actually heal from certain things and to actually accept certain things in your life. And I think it's just overall so good because it really helps you to be a little bit more gentle with yourself. And I think sometimes this book is really great to read after you've read a little bit more of an intense self-help book or something that's very science-based, very heavy, and makes you feel a little bit overwhelmed. This is a great book to kind of break it up and to be like, hey girl, like, you are okay, you are doing just fine. So if you are struggling with perfectionism, overthinking, insecurities of any kind, I think this is one of the best books to start with. Book number 4 is Radical Acceptance by Tara Brash. I don't know, but the book is really good, so sorry if I can't say her name right. This is kind of similar to the last one that we talked about, but I feel like it's a little bit more of a spiritual take, I guess. It's more in the realm of mindfulness and self-compassion, and it uses a lot of meditation type things in this book and a lot of practices that are going to really help you to just tap into the deepest part of yourself and really have more deep forgiveness for yourself and a lot more understanding of just who you are and how these feelings make you feel. A lot of the exercises in this book are aimed towards self-acceptance, self-healing, and just building self-awareness overall. So I really think that this book is great for anybody who is struggling with anxiety of any kind, or even someone who's just really hard on themselves and needs to kind of be a little bit gentler with themselves. Book number 5 is How to Do the Work by Dr. Nicole LePera. I love this woman. She posts incredible mini scientific studies on her Instagram. I think she just has such a good way of explaining things in a way that is really tangible and not overwhelming, even though it's coming from a very scientific point of view. And throughout this book, she really just gives kind of a holistic healing process, something that is going to really help you approach healing any traumas that you've been through, any negative thought patterns, any emotional wounds that you have. You are going to finish this book and be like, wow, I feel like I just went to 30 therapy sessions in a row. I really liked that it was divided into different practices, different psychological studies, and just a lot of more actionable tips to actually help you on this journey. I think that if you are looking for any self-healing book in any realm, this is the one that you need to start with, and arguably possibly one of the only ones you ever need to read because it is just that good. And I think if you are just struggling with any kind of negative thought patterns or negative thoughts in general, this is just the best book to start with because it helped me immensely, and I love it so much. Book number 6 is The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin. And this book is really interesting because the author actually set out on a full year-long journey to try to just figure out what actually makes people happy. And again, I like this book because it's separated into chapters that focus on each individual month. So each month she's focused on a different topic, such as marriage or work or play, like just breaking things down into very individualized topics and really diving into how happiness fits into those things. I think this book is really great if you just want something that's a little bit more easy to read, a little bit more lighthearted, but is still going to give you really practical tips on how to actually be happier and how to understand happiness as a whole. Book number 7 is The Mountain Is You by Brianna Weiss. I really should have looked up pronunciation before this video, and I'm really regretting that right now. This book is basically just a deep dive into self-sabotage and why we are not achieving the things that we actually want to achieve. And it really just teaches you a lot of strategies around emotional resilience, getting rid of self-sabotage, building self-awareness, and just growing as a whole. I think this book is great if you feel like you are holding yourself back at all and you either really want to understand why you're doing that, or you just want to actually break out of that and start making steps forward without falling back onto your old habits, your old behaviors, and the things that are actually keeping you where you are currently. Book number 8, I'm 1000% going to say her name wrong, and I almost don't even want to attempt it because this is really embarrassing for me. But number 8 is Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Este. This book is really interesting because it uses a mix of myths and fairy tales and all types of stories to just kind of talk about women as a whole, and really just encouraging women to reconnect with their inner power and their instincts and things like that. So each chapter dissects a different myth or story or whatever it is, and really just kind of dives into it and gives you kind of the highlights of how to reclaim your inner strength and just embrace your natural intuition. So I really just think this book is great for every single woman to read. I think it is just such an interesting book, and it really just kind of dives into a women's psyche, which is just so interesting to read about, and I just think it's something that every single woman would benefit from reading. And the last book in this category is Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. So this book is basically just about nothing is impossible. Every single thing is possible to some extent, and if it's not fully possible, you can figure out ways around it, and you can figure out how to either do something similar, or you can figure out how to work the system, how to figure it out. You can just figure it out. She gives you a very step-by-step approach on how to tackle any goal that you have, and I just love that. And she talks about a lot of the things that she's been through and a lot of the things that she's overcame. She always used to either develop a new skill or learn a lesson from, which I just love that approach, and I think it is just such a good book for anybody to read because it really kind of helps shift your mindset around the struggles that you go through and the things that you think are stopping you from achieving your goals, and looking at them instead as challenges and things that you can use to actually help you on this journey and help you learn something new or help you get further on either that same path or a different path, because you are always moving forward and you are always using things as something to learn from. So I think this book is really good for anybody who just feels like they're stuck or feels like there's just things that are too big in their life for them to tackle, because this book is going to give you the courage to actually tackle those things and make progress forward. And for category number 3, Becoming Your Dream Self. There are just 5 books in this category, and they are all sort of similar but also different. So I really wanted to include all of them because I think they are just such incredible books, and I think that even if you're a little bit skeptical of things that are a little bit more spiritual or meditation based or manifestation based, these are still things that you need to give a chance, because I almost guarantee that by the time you finish these books, you will have a completely different outlook on things. And that's because that is exactly what happened when I read all of these books. So the first book in this category is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and this is one of those books that I have read over and over and over again, and I take notes in it. I read it consistently. I read it at least twice a year. This is just one of those books where I am like consistently reading it. I'm consistently highlighting pages. I'm tabbing all the pages at the bottoms because it's just so good, and I literally treat this book like my Bible. The whole concept of this book is basically just about learning to really be be present in the now, kind of how the title suggests. But it also really teaches you how to separate yourself from your ego, which is something that ever since I've learned about, I have become so passionate about, because it is just such an insane feeling once you start to use the practices from this book, and once you find yourself and understanding the difference between when you have a thought that's yourself and a thought that's coming from your ego, and learning to take a back seat in your own mind. And I know this all sounds really insane, but I promise you, if you read this book and you try the actual practices, you are going to start to look at everything completely different. And you're also going to start to look at other people differently, because it's going to be so clear to you when somebody else is acting out of their ego versus their true self. So I really think this book is great for anybody who just kind of feels disconnected or lost in their life, or if you just find yourself feeling really overwhelmed all the time and you don't know how to snap yourself out of spirals of overthinking or just being stressed out. This is a wonderful book to start with, and I think out of all of these, if you were to only read one, this would be the one that I would suggest. Book number 2 is The Secret by Rhonda Byron. I hate my life. This book is very popular, and for good reason. It is kind of the perfect intro book to the law of attraction, which even if you think you don't believe in it, or you think that it sounds stupid, or you think that it goes against whatever beliefs that you have currently, I highly encourage you to read this, or at least listen to the audiobook, because it does such a great job in explaining the actual science behind this and how you really are attracting the things that are in your life based on the energy that you're presenting into the world and the thoughts that you're thinking, and how you can actually take control over the things that are happening to you just by setting better intentions and being more open to the law of attraction and really understanding how this affects your life. So I think whether you believe in the law of attraction or not, this is such a good book to read if you really want to just improve your mindset and you want to stop really negative patterns of thinking and just attract a little bit better energy into your life. Book number 3 is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza, and I actually feel like I saw a little bit of controversy about him in the past few years on the internet and whatnot, but I still stand by the fact that this is one of the most incredible books that you could ever read, and I think it does such a good job at explaining the neuroscience of things and how we can actually reshape our brains and really change our thoughts to change our reality. And I think he just does such a good job of explaining the science behind things while giving you really tangible practices to actually use in your everyday life and ways to notice things around you and to start just being a little bit more present in your life and taking a little bit more control over the things that happen in your life. So I think if you're really looking to create long-lasting, really deep-rooted changes in your life, this is a wonderful book to read, and it's probably the best in terms of breaking into a more spirituality realm book, because it does give you a lot more tangible science-based things in this book. Number 4 is The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer, and I think this is my second favorite book in this category. Again, not to rank them, but I love this book, and I only actually have the ebook version, which is so unfortunate because I think if I had a physical copy, I would treat it the same way that I treat this first book, and I would just read it on a consistent basis every so often because it's just so good. And coincidentally, this is also a little bit about ego and really detaching from your ego and learning to just live a little bit more peacefully. This one really dives into the power of your thoughts and how your inner thoughts are really, really affecting you on a real actual level, and it does such a good job at making it a little bit more manageable and making it really understandable for every single person to just see how their thoughts are affecting their life. I also like it because I feel like it's very step by step in a way that starts on a more beginner focused level and then it kind of levels up as you get through the book, and I think that just really helps with the overall vibe of it not being super scary and super intimidating to read something like this. So I think if you just feel really overwhelmed and you really just want to see a different perspective on things and you want to just fix some of the overthinking or some of the fears that you have in life, this is a great book for you to read. And the last book on this total list is The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. This is very similar to the Joe Dispenza book, and it's just a focus on how you can actually use your subconscious to create the life that you want, and how your subconscious thoughts are so embedded in us, but they are able to be changed, and you can take the steps to actually do this and to live the life that you want to live. He does a great job on really breaking down limiting beliefs and teaching you how to overcome them and how to actually do this in a way that's actionable and something that doesn't feel super overwhelming and doesn't feel like it's completely impossible to do. So I think this book is just great, especially if you are looking to really overcome some limiting beliefs or just attract more positivity into your life in general. I think this book is a great place to start. And that is the end of the 20 books that I think you should read in 2025. And I really think that all of these books have shaped who I've become in the last 4 years, because I think the first time I read any of these was in 2020. And I really think at the minimum, you should aim to read at least one book from each one of these categories, because I think that will just give you the best, most well-rounded grasp on how to actually become the person that you want to be and how to achieve all of the goals that you want in 2025. If you got at least one book recommendation from this video, please make sure that you are subscribed down below and share this video with a friend so that you guys can be reading buddies. And of course, make sure you're checking the description below for a bunch of free resources for your fitness and mindset journey. And I know all of this was a lot, so I am going to have the full list listed in the description below, so you can either screenshot it or I'll have the links to each one of the books if you want to purchase them there. But I'm really curious which one you are most excited to read, or if you've read any of these already, let me know what you thought below, and let me know if there's any books that you think I should have added to this list that I didn't. But that is all that I've got for you today, so until next time, be kind to your mind, to your body, and to others, and happy healing.